And that was that drug, like the major drug use, is that pretty prevalent even when you were around as well? Like the heroin and all that shit. I'm not saying that you were doing it, but it was.
Oh, you could say it.
It was a major.
I was doing, yeah.
Were you? Okay, I didn't know anything.
I mean, I actually lived a like, I had formulas. I thought, you know what I mean? I came up with weird formulas. Okay, so like, I'll do a shot of dope, right? And then I'll do some speed. No, I'll do a shot of dope and I'll smoke some weed, right? And kind of get mellow. And then I'll fucking do a big gagger of speed and then just start drinking. And I got the perfect time. And by the time we go on, I'll have the exact perfect high to give an optimal performance. You know what I mean? And
welcome to Get Heavy Podcast. With your host, Craig Casamas and Big J Curran.
Okay, hold on.
Oh wait, well shit. Wait,
might as well get the
wait. Let me join the party.
Coffee, water,
coffee, water. Beautiful. Well, hey guys, welcome to Get Heavy Podcast. We have a very special hotel edition. I am part of my work. I am actually at an equipment exposition right now with two of the guys that actually do the same job I do. I don't talk about my job a lot, but I'm an instructor for Local 12. We're at a thing here, and
wait a minute. I'm an instructor for Local 12.
Hold on, stop. That's fucking weird. I'm an instructor for Local 12.
No way.
We're like three unicorns in a room right now.
Oh my
God. So we're at this equipment thing. We're bullshitting. This is Ryan Anselone. He's an instructor as well. Old punk rock, hardcore kid, Mr. fucking Hulk smash himself. Welcome to the podcast. And then we have the legendary and infamous Warren Renfrow, right? Renfrow. God damn it. I fucked that one up.
I'm leaving.
He's out of here. A man of many talents, bass player for every band you've ever wanted to heard. And
I'm a one-trick pony.
Yeah, that's right.
That's about it.
Currently, you're in Manic Hispanic, right?
Yes, sir.
Originally in Final Conflict and every fucking band in between, probably. Or most bands.
I am the bass playing tampon, so insert when needed.
Yeah, it is the crazy thing about being a bass player. If you're good, you are hoard around like, because they're like, hey, he can do that. If we right, Skip Warren, he's consistent, shows up. You know what I mean?
Shows up,
knows
gear,
how to fucking do it, has gear,
transportation,
you know what I mean?
gear, willing.
You know what? But the key thing is, in the pocket.
That's right. Yeah, that's a big one.
That's it. If you're solid, and you're in the pocket and you hold it down. I mean,
yeah. And unlike most bass players and musicians, you have an actual career and you've made money in your life. You know what I mean? Like doing other shit.
Not much. That's why I'm sitting here.
Made something. I only ever made bar tabs that I didn't even get to use. You know what I mean? Because I was already not drinking. So I was like, fuck it. I played for other people to drink beer.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, you guys are actually, since you don't drink much right now at all.
Yeah, I'm not.
You don't drink. You haven't drank in what, 20 years?
21 years.
Yeah. I love you guys because I just swipe those extra tickets, when we're playing shows. My bass player is sober as well. And it's like he gets his drink tickets and he's like, here you go, guys. I'm like, thank you, sir.
Well, fuck, even anywhere where they limit your drinks too, I'm like handing my drinks to other people.
Right.
You know what I mean? Because I don't want them, but here, have a ball.
Yeah, man. Well, I appreciate you guys coming on in a random fucking middle of the day. So let's start with you. You grew up here in LA and Ventura, right?
Born in Tarzana, came here in 86. I was 4, spent most of my life here. Kind of got sideways in my late teens and had some people looking to kill me and family issues. So I was shipped back to California to live with my old man for a while. And we bounced around North Hollywood, Oxnard, Santa Paula for a minute, just kind of wherever, Panorama City, just all over Southern California.
Yeah. Yeah. So, and you spent some time in Oxnard, but
I was in Oxnard
when we first met, we met at a training thing at another work thing. And I saw you were from my same local and I'm all, how the fuck do I don't know you at all. Like what's happening? And then you're from Vegas, you know what I mean? And we got to talking and, you know, obviously there's a connection with the music and the hardcore scene and the punk rock scene, you know.
Yeah.
Although you do like the kicking and punching version of hardcore, which is not my favorite thing.
Crowd killing.
Yeah, he's a crowd killer.
Yeah. Well, I'm the old guy now.
Yeah.
I'm fucking 41. So like I will always support if there's a local scene that I can help support for the next kids that are just now finding it. Like I want that to be available because of how much it meant to me back in the day. So I'm always going to go. You know, I don't go to every fucking show, but I'll go a lot of times and just kind of there kicking it in the back, hanging with, you know, I'm with the old squad now, you know what I mean?
Right. Yeah.
Bullshit. I saw you at that DRI show. Don't do that crap.
Yeah. Was he out there fucking karate kicking everybody?
No. But I was
so as a hardcore kid, are you allowed to circle pit, or is it like against the hardcore?
You are, but this
hardcore motto is that
in the current hardcore scene, they'll say like, all right, give me a circle pit. Yeah. But the circle pit is ironic and mocking like actual circle pits. It's just kids rude. Running in a circle for fun and they're laughing and like sack tapping each other. You know what I mean? It's like kind of a joke. It's not like back in the day when people always circle pitted hard, like intentionally. It's not like that anymore.
Yeah. I'm always offended when people are making, I mean, circle pitting is the best, dude. When you started going, you started playing, when did you start playing music? I mean, when was Final Conflict your first band? Like
my first real band. The first band I ever had was with Ronnie.
Okay.
Right.
Yeah.
And we would practice that is, you know, back I guess then like is one thing to be punk rock, right? Which is like you were taking your life in your hands at that point.
Right.
And then being Mexican on top of it. Right.
Okay.
So yet you tended to bond. Like I think that was part of the thing with Ronnie is like, you know, I went over to his house and his mom was making menudo and I'm like, oh, you like this stuff? Oh yeah. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And having that bond also. So.
Yeah. But so that was your first band, and then Final Conflict gets started, right?
I played with Ronnie, and it was horrible. Oh God, there was this tape. I don't know if Ronnie has it, but like it's a tape of one of our practices, and it is the most, you know, it's a 2-chord, you know, out of tune, right, out of time, right, and it goes through the whole song, and at the very end of the song you're like the guitar player. That was rad.
That was your music recorded. Like that's fucking awesome.
What was your early influences? Like where did that shit draw you into there? Like, you know, like what was it that made you want to start playing that stuff? You know, because there's a lot going on. You were
I got into punk first,
right?
You know,
coming out of the late 70s, the post, you know, the glam scene, all that shit, right?
No, not even glam. Look, like, so I had 7 older brothers and sisters, so there was a wide music influence from, you know what I mean, everything from, you know, like Motown, Stax, the Beatles, you know what I mean, into Black Sabbath and UFO, Kiss. You know what I mean? So I've always been a music lover for the most part.
Right.
And then punk rock came along.
And you actively remember it, like seeing it and being like, what the fuck is this?
I remember Channel 7 Eyewitness News, the first exposure to it, Channel 7 Eyewitness News, like the Sex Pistols. And I'm like, coming up the Sex Pistols, I'm thinking there's a pistol for sex or something. And then they showed the clip on the band. Yeah. And it was an instant fascination. So
yeah. And were you already playing music like bass and nothing?
No.
So that was your catalyst. I want to do this.
Yeah. You know what? Okay. And everybody has their opinions of what punk is.
Right.
And everyone punk is this. And you know what? Like, you know, and not to dip too deep into this pool, but then there's the political aspect of it, and said like, well, you know what? You can't be a right winger and be punk, or, you know what I mean? You can't be a left, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And everybody's is. And here's the thing, like punk is like, that's why it's accessible, and that's it. You know what I mean? Like, hey, like you can have any political view you want, but look, you could be in the, you know, you can hang with the band, you could be in the band, you know what I mean? You could be a part of, and you know, you just got to show up and it's accessible to you.
Yeah, it's a participation sport.
Yeah, absolutely.
Right. And that's what that was the thing that drew me, right? Because I grew up a metalhead. And metalhead, like, you know, I liked like hip hop, and then I liked heavy metal, and I did not like punk. When I heard the Ramones, I was like, these guys fucking suck, because I was already listening to like grindcore. You know what I mean? Like they sounded slow, and I didn't get it. But what drew me into punk was the lyrical content, and then the fact that when I would go to metal shows, I was fighting for my life. no unity. I mean, and there is a little bit, but the first few punk shows I went to, it's a participation sport. Everyone is involved. You can meet your heroes. You can fucking have a beer with them in their van. You know what I mean? Like, and it was so inclusive that's what drew me to it. And lyrically, I got tired of hearing about, you know, butchered fucking babies. You know, you're listening to like Cannibal Corpse and shit like that when I was a kid. You know, and it's like I wanted to hear something of some content. You know what I mean?
The meeting your heroes part is like the coolest part.
It really is.
Just not that long. I'm 41, and just not that long ago, I had like one of the coolest things ever happen that kind of falls in line with that. I was in Boston and was there to see Slapshot, Sheer Terror, Colin of Arabia, a bunch of Boston hardcore bands. And I had recently purchased some stuff from the SSD Control Instagram page, not knowing that the person I was talking to was Al Baril of SSD Control. Yeah. And I said, man, it's Al Baril. Like, that's crazy. He's a legend, you know? And so I was like, I'm going to be in Boston. He goes, well, hit me up when you get here. I'll come and hang out. Well, he couldn't come hang out because he had back surgery, but he goes, come to my house. So I like was invited to Al Baril's house. Some random guy. All I did was buy like a record cover, like not even the record. I bought a cover of a 1982 record, and he had me over at the house, gave me a bag full of like SSD swag and told me like the raddest fucking stories for like 2 hours outside of his house. And I was like a little kid.
Yeah. It's crazy, man. I mean, that was the thing that really got me, was like, you can meet the people that you're seeing on the stage. They're in the crowd with you. They're hanging out at the fucking merch booth. Whereas the music I listened before, these guys are backstage. You'll never fucking see them. You know what I mean? And it just, that drew me. And then also the energy and the unity of the music is what brought me in. You know what I mean? So I would assume those things were the same that kind of attracted you, like when you kind of started seeing
Absolutely.
it.
Yeah. No,
you know I mean?
As I say, it was accessible. And like, you know, there's always like, you know, like the accusation of certain bands, they're not punk anymore, or what they so and look, as long as they're accessible, they're still punk.
Yeah, and that's a pretty hard through line there, I think, too. You know, so final conflict. What was going on like in the LA scene area, like at the time? Like, what were the bands that you guys emerged with? Like, was all of it growing at the same moment?
So final conflict kind of came at it. There was a weird time of like that first generation of winding down. Like, so like I grew up in Fullerton,
right?
And so like, and those guys like you know, the Adolescents, and Agent Orange, and you know, they're just a couple of years older, and you know, and you're a teenager, that's all.
It's a world of difference.
It's a whole universe apart.
These are grown adults.
Right. And but that you know, that was kind of winding down. And so, you know, then there's more of an influx of like the bands like GBH and Discharge. And,
the heavier, harder bands. Right. Yeah.
And so, you know, and then Final Conflict, you know, Crass and Final Conflict started springing from that. Yeah. And I, you know what, and like, while I like the music, I'm not a peace punk guy. And they really fell into that. Yeah. You know, I'd show up to gigs with, you know, I rode a motorcycle back then. I'd show up, McDonald's wrappers flying off the back. You know what I mean? Like,
totally. Just throwing trash on the ground. Fucking
being punk.
Yeah, man, being punk. You know, but when you were like doing shit, how long was Final Conflict around? Like, did you have any like major highlight? You guys got to tour and all that shit, right? Did you guys do any of that stuff?
No, you know what?
Final Conflict didn't get to do a
we didn't. I, you know, my time in it. I didn't get a tour, but I did get to do the Ashes to Ashes album with them. Okay. Highlights like with Final Conflict. I mean, we played Fender's Ballroom. Got to play the Olympic Auditorium.
Oh, cool.
That's sick. That's awesome. You know what I mean?
Who was that with? Do you remember?
You know what? I can't. You got to remember one thing. Yeah. Like we were talking about, you know, drinking or whatever. Let's just say there's a lot of better living through chemistry.
Okay. Then, so. All right. Yeah, I got you, man. And that was that drug, like the major drug use, is that pretty prevalent even when you were around as well? Like the heroin and all that shit. I'm not saying that you were doing it, but it was.
Oh, you could say it.
It was a major.
I was doing,
Were you? Okay, I didn't know anything.
I mean, I actually lived a like. I had formulas. I thought, you know what I mean? I came up with weird formulas. Okay, so like I'll do a shot of dope, right? And I'll do some speed. No, I'll do a shot of dope and I'll smoke some weed, right? And kind of get and then I'll fucking do a big gagger of speed and then just start drinking. And I got the perfect time. And by the time we go on, I'll have the exact perfect high to give an optimal performance. You know what I mean? And so
yeah, that's fucking wild.
I relate to that a lot.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah, because you were out of your mind on drugs for a
Yeah.
while,
Oh, yeah.
right?
Yeah.
That's one thing I didn't get
until it all.
Yeah, well, eventually ends, right? It's what there's
It
like
has
a couple
to.
ways.
It's not sustainable.
It's a couple
Yeah.
ways.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But that was one thing I never
what
got
is
into.
it? Three ways, right?
Yeah. Yeah. What
Three-
are they?
three-
Death and
Jails,
jail?
institutions, and death.
Yeah, exactly.
Man. Yeah, it's a wild time, man. But so after Final Conflict, what did you kind of move on to after that? Like,
So before Final Conflict, I started playing with some guys from Westminster, a band called Music to Drink To. The singer was Mike Gabby Gaborno,
Okay.
and we got really tight.
Okay.
And so, I mean, we were really, really tight. Once again, over drugs were a major factor, and so while I was going down by spiral in Final Conflict, he sobered up and 12-step program sober, and then it's like program of attraction. It got to the point where I had to sober up, and he had the Cadillac Tramps.
Ah, okay.
Right. And
yeah.
he was doing that, and when I got sober, I ended up, I kind of got absorbed into that.
That's cool.
And that was a good run. That was the touring. That was the
And what years was that?
Oh shit. Late 80s.
Late 80s.
80, 88, 89 through mid 90s.
And touring is pretty fucking wild back then, dude. Because I even come from when I started touring at like 18, we still didn't have maps. We still used Thomas guides.
We had the Atlas.
We were just
United
out
States
of
Atlas.
Maybe I think one of us might have had a cell phone, but we were still using calling cards, to make calls and shit. Like, and I'll explain sometimes, like, because I did some grimy fucking touring, like I think we've done like 7 US tours over X amount of years, plus West Coast and East Coast, and they're none of it's glamorous, but the invention of like fucking Google Maps.
You know what though? But you know what though? The thing is like, so shifted back up, a decade, right?
Yeah.
All we had was it was a US Atlas.
Right.
Right.
Yeah.
And so it's okay. Well, we know the interstates to get there, and so like you'd have the state, and it'd be like maybe a little bit of a blow up of a city.
Yeah, totally.
Right. And we would find our way.
Right.
And the thing what you say about grimy, like the thing is, God damn, I remember like those first tours, and it's like 5, 6 guys, one hotel room,
right?
And you know what, like it was the best fucking time
totally
of my life.
Yeah. Sure. I mean,
you know what I mean?
For sure. Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Because you don't know any better, and you're just so excited to be out. You know what I mean?
It is. It's the best
amazing
time ever, and
like the normalcy of like each guy gets his own bed or his own room is just completely out of fucking
insane.
reach
Yeah.
too.
Oh,
it's
dude,
like it's not at all possible.
So when we started getting high end, it's like when we actually started splitting it up, and there's like 3 and 3 in a room, right?
Right.
And then there was the chipping, and then it's like so you got a per diem of $5 or $10, right, to live off of. So then you back in the old days.
Yeah.
Then there was the chip in to rent the VCR.
Oh, snap.
So like you got 3 guys jacking off to porn on the VCR, right? Every get there under a cover, and all of a sudden you're a guy like, goddamn, shut up, dude.
Dude, the VHS era of porn, dude.
Everyone's trying not to make eye contact with each
other. Oh, totally. You just see blankets, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Yeah. But I talk to these young kids now. There's a lot of like in Ventura and Oxnard, there's a massive scene of these new bands, this band called Dead Heat that's fucking blowing up, right?
Dead Heat.
And they're all 18, 19 years old, and they're fucking awesome. You know what I mean? And I talk to all these bands that are like starting to do touring now, and they're like, it's so weird. I'm like, look, bro, imagine booking a show like 4 months in advance on a phone with a guy, and then he goes, see you in 4 months, and you just pray to God that it works. You know what I mean? When you get there, you don't call him. You can't fucking get a hold of anybody.
They're not.
You're just like on
money.
A wing and a fucking prayer, and not even directions how to get there. You know what I mean? You're like, fuck, man. It was just so, because I remember doing a show, and I've told this a couple times, but it was one of my favorite. Just like, if you want to know what touring's like, this is it. We go to play a show in DC, right? And we didn't get on the the Black Cat? I think is the big, or there's a decent club there. There's some other show going on.
Black Cat, and there's the 9:30.
Yeah, the 9:30 club, right? So I think it was the Black Cat we're gonna play at, couldn't play at it. So this kid fucking reaches out online, dude, I can totally do a show. We do Brad shows at this Chinese food restaurant. Like, fuck, okay, whatever, cool. book this fucking show. We're 3 weeks into a fucking US tour at this point. You know, we're in DC. I show up at the place, fucking nothing, not a light on, nothing. You know what I mean? And I'm like, motherfucker, man. So now I'm like calling the dude, and I call the phone and I'm like, hey, is Eric there? I don't know what his fucking name is. And this lady goes, no, he can't talk. And I'm like, well, hey man, like I'm like a band, and he booked the show, and he's all, Eric's 16 and he's fucking grounded. And it just hangs up, and you're all, oh god damn it, man. You know what I mean?
And where is Eric today?
Yeah, who fucking knows? You know, it's probably still grounded, you know. But that's exactly what like old touring is like. You're just like, what the fuck, man? Like, no idea what's going on around here.
And it's still the best time. So, and the things like, so like the Tramps had this really great, like, put it to you this way, like it got to the point of actually making some money,
right,
and getting your own hotel room, right, and like some pretty high profile, like our peer group, like, you know what I mean,
right,
like there's a peer group of people, and I mean, we're talking, you know, No Doubt, Rancid, you know what I mean, Offspring, like we played like Pennywise, Cadillac, Tramps. I forgot who was on the bill, and the very bottom was Offspring, right?
And
we took a tour, did a national tour, came back, all of a sudden Offspring, the single hit,
the biggest band on
right?
earth,
and you know what? And just like every, you know, as I say, there's 100 other bands that say the same thing. We imploded, right? And here's the thing: once that's done, I love that band. You know what I mean? There was just like there's that time when you really love it, and you look forward to going to rehearsal. You know what I mean? You're rehearsing 3-4 times a week, and you're looking forward to it, and they're your best friends,
right?
And then after that, like, you just want to play, so you're just kind of like, you know, join a band is just join a band,
right?
And I ended up joining. You know what? And I'll throw this out there. I think it should be checked out. I played in a band called One Hit Wonder. Okay. And musically, talentedly, we have an album out. It's on Nitro Records. You stream it. It's called Outfall. And it was a great band, but I was like, there was like this bitterness about like starting over again, and asking people, can I sleep on your, you know, can we crash out on your hardwood floors? And you know what I mean? And I kind of took it for granted, and I look back on it, and I recently replayed that album, like, this is really good. I mean, you know what I mean? Like,
you're happy with the product
objectively, and it's like why didn't, you know, and I felt bad that I didn't realize it at that point, but definitely you should check it out. It's definitely worth a spin.
Yeah, for sure, man. Yeah, it's weird. The desperation of playing music is a weird thing, you know what I mean? Because I've my whole life I've been playing music, and I actually just now, up until the last few years, this is the first time in my life I don't have the fire anymore. And it's because I got a lot going on. I got kids, I got a job, I got this thing that I do that I like, you know what I mean? But I used to think I had to play music or I was going to die. You know what I mean? Like, it was the only thing creatively keeping me moving, you know what I mean? And it was for a long time, you know what I mean? But that desperation of like, I have to do this, you know, and then you get up to a certain point, and then you get knocked down, and you're on floors again.
And let's call it what it is. And you know, playing music, regardless of where you're at, you know what I mean? there is a little bit of ego, and there's a little bit of narcissism involved, right? And look at, but it's at different levels. You're a bass player, it's low, like you know, I mean, but you still love it. You still love getting out and being on stage, and you know, being a cohesive part of this unit and making it sound good, right? You know, and then, you know, as the ego gets bigger, like, you know, you got your, think about it, listen, I couldn't be a singer, like, you know, it takes someone with some balls to, you know, well, I can't play anything, I'm going to be the singer, and they deliver. You know what I mean? It's a definite personality thing that
for sure. It takes a certain type to be, I'm going to be a front man, you know.
Absolutely.
I mean?
And you know what? It's fucking hard work.
It's not easy. That's what I did in the couple of bands that I played with, and we didn't do anything noteworthy, but we did play some shows with some other bands that had some buzz and stuff like that. And I definitely had to force myself like out of my comfort zone to be a front man.
Right. because you're the one leading the fucking energy of the show. You know what I mean? Like
you're making like eye contact with people and like saying things between songs. It just yeah.
It's a whole animal, man.
If you have any social anxiety whatsoever, like you're gonna experience ways to like you're gonna have to break through it up there.
Right.
That's what happens.
But so like going back to it, like that's what's hard to give it up. You know what I mean? Because you feed off of it.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So
it's an adrenaline rush that's very unlike anything. You know what I mean? Like when you play a fucking killer show and there's a couple thousand people, you know, doing the thing, you're like, fuck yeah.
Bro. I'll tell you what, like, so like a peak Cadillac tramp story is we give you a quick story on this. So we played in Seattle, right? At the Crocodile Cafe, and we finished. And so our MO was when the tour ended, it's like if that was the last show of the tour, no matter where we were at, everything packed in, and we started driving that night.
Yeah.
Right. Well, that night in Seattle, so this is when the whole Seattle scene was pretty wide open.
Yeah.
And the guys from Pearl Jam were in the audience. And a friend of ours was there. She kind of knew those guys, and they liked us. And they go, she goes, "Oh yeah, hey, Pearl Jam might have you open up some shows for us right now. You will know, right? Yeah, sure, right?
Yeah.
Like, you know what I mean? Oh, cool. Yeah, that's gonna happen." So we got in the car and we headed home, right? There's no cell phones. It's like what 1991, 2 or something like that. And we get home, so it's a 24-hour drive.
Right.
We get home, and I walk in, and I was living with my wife. We were married at that time. It was right before we were married.
Okay.
We were married. Anyway.
Yeah.
And she's like, "Oh my God, the answering machine's going off." Like answering machine, like that. We got the gigs with Pearl Jam, and we had to be back in Calgary, Alberta, like the next night.
Oh my God.
Right. Yeah. So it's kind of like, right. And so like everybody went to sleep, woke up, and everybody piled back in the van and headed up. And the funny part is Steve Soto had a band called Joyride.
Oh, okay.
Joyride. Steve Soto is the most underrated songwriter ever. Check out Joyride.
Yeah.
Right.
I'll check that.
Fantastic. So they were on tour with us, and like they were driving home. They finished it, but they waited till the next day, and they're driving back. And he said he's sitting there, and all of a sudden he says he like on the other side of the freeway, and 5 North, like, "Is that the Tramps van that just went by?" Right? Like, no, they left before us. And so we got up there and we played. It was it was like Max Bell Hockey Arena in Calgary, and there was like 15,000 people.
Wow.
Right?
Yeah.
And we played Calgary, but so we, and I remember going on stage, and you got the announcement, and going on stage, and I'm sitting there like, facing my amp, checking checking the old Boss Korg tuner, right?
Yeah.
Like, right. And the sound of an audience of that many people.
Yeah.
I actually like welled up with tears. Like, oh my God.
I could see that.
Oh my God. This is insane. You know what I mean?
15,000 people is a lot of fucking people, dude.
And 15,000 is like, and 15,000 eager people.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like, it sounded like the whole arena.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So, so like, that's part of that high. You know what I mean? Like,
it's hard to match
that's what you want to, that's what you're going after.
Yeah. But then the musician thing, there are those highs, and then there are the same lows that on the same, the next fucking day, it just levels you. It shows you where you really stand in the universe.
Even better yet. Have you ever showed up at a gig and like, ain't nobody here? Here's $50, take off.
Yeah, literally. My band has been paid to not play.
That's what I'm saying. Yeah, you show up like,
and we were already playing.
I have a pretty funny story. There was a thrash band out of Canada.
Hey, pull that up a little.
Oh, yeah,
sorry.
Yeah, there you go. Yep. There was a thrash band out of Canada called Mastery.
Okay.
And they were just a instrumental thrash band. They had no singer. None of their songs had any lyrics or vocals, but they would write these really bitchin' like thrash anthems. And I went to go see him at this bar down the street from my house here, and I was the only one that showed up. I was the only person. So I'm sitting at the bar, just like waiting in an empty room. And this guy walks in. I go, "Are you here to see the band?" He goes, "I'm in the band." And I told him, I said, "Well, I understand if you guys don't want to play or, whatever." And he goes, No. They say the smallest shows are the best. He goes, "It doesn't get any smaller than this." They loaded in, no lie. They loaded in and I sat in the middle of the room on a chair, and they played an entire set. Yeah. And it was the weirdest
for you.
It was awesome though. It was cool. It was cool.
Did you clap between songs?
Yeah. I stood up, threw my bra at him, dude.
Yeah, it's crazy, man. Being a musician is such a weird or even a music fan, you know what I mean?
They
It's
took
like,
it well. Not a single. I mean, I was
Yeah.
the only person that showed up, and they were actually really cool.
Really cool about it. Yeah. I did want to ask. So you were in we were talking. You were in Oxnard, fucked up on drugs. At what point did you get? You were young, right? And then
I was young.
Because you're only a couple years older than me, and you're like,
I'm 40.
sober,
I'm 41.
right?
Yeah.
So you're stoned.
How old are you, Craig?
Sober. I'm 40.
Okay.
So I'm 40. Yeah.
Yeah.
What point were you like, fucking, no, I can't do this anymore?
Oh, I was homeless. I was robbing people at gunpoint, and then
In Oxnard.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Yeah.
And breaking into cars, and like, you know, I was to the point where I had to either die or like give up and do something different. You know what I mean?
Right.
So that was my thing. Was I was already on the streets, like completely homeless. I'm like, you know, I got a backpack, I got a pistol, I got, you know, and then eventually I didn't even have the pistol anymore. So then it was like, I can't even just take what I want now, you know?
Would you hawk it or lose it?
I hawked it. Yeah, man. Like any good drug addict, you know what I mean?
Everything's for sale.
It had a value, you know what I mean?
You got to get well.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You gotta do what you gotta do. I mean, I'm waking up in parks, being rousted by cops and being shook down by other drug addicts, and you know what I mean, all that shit. And I made a phone call to a family member who sent me some Greyhound money. I relocated down to San Diego and got into a place and got some help, man. I had just turned 20.
Wow.
So, and that was this time. So that was 21 years ago. I've never taken a sip of alcohol or done a drug as a legal adult. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I was 20 years old.
Yeah. And you're active recovery. You probably don't do it much now, but you know, you're
not, you know, work and dad life, and, you know, just trying to have like a personal life. I'm a single dad and everything like that. It certainly, I'm not as active in the recovery thing as I used to be, but I still, most of my good friends are also sober. You know what I mean? That's just the way that works.
Yeah. And did you take the same route? Did you actually do like AA and all that stuff to get sober?
Yeah. Went through AA but
did you ever have anything to do with like Mike Ness's fucking, you know, Mike, he has like,
no, you know what?
Because Mike Ness actually saved my friend, like totally took him in. And
you know what? Here's the thing.
Sober,
and they call it the program. It's a program of attraction, right?
Okay.
And you know, I remember seeing Mike. Mike was pretty bad at one, like
he was right. He was
you know,
rough,
and you know, and he was kind of like almost one of the first guys. Like,
really?
Oh yeah. And what was really in what you say, like you know, they call AA, it's a program of attraction,
right?
And he was kind of a beacon, and he got a lot of people in, and you know, he's still, you know, he's still involved. He still works a program, and you know what I mean. So a lot of respect for the guy.
It's incredible, man. Because when you're a real leader, you know, like Mike Ness is a fucking leader. I mean, you know, Social D is, you know, a fucking awesome band. You know what I mean? But it's almost like what the stories I hear about him and what he's helped people do besides the music is like so much more above and beyond, you know, like his music's touched millions of people, you know, but for him to be personally involved in like people getting clean and sober is like, it's a trip, you know what I mean? It's cool to see.
And that, as I say, once again, like program wise, that's part of it, you know what I mean?
That's what we're taught. Yeah. Man.
You got to, you know, to keep it, you got to give it away
okay. It's part of the tenets.
Oh yeah, it's absolutely.
Yeah.
It would eventually die out if everybody didn't perpetuate it by helping the next person.
Sure. And the people that really care do that, right?
100%.
Yeah, that's amazing.
Like for me, but there's interesting. So like, there's like kind of like a 100%, like, well, you know, you can't do anything. And I really, you know, and for me, there's a person believe you know, you could be just a complete drug addict, alcoholic.
Right.
I kind of fall into, I am definitely a drug addict, 100%. But you know, if I ever drank like to excess, it's usually because I was on speed, which, you know,
it all stems from being a drug addict.
The speed bone's connected to the alcohol bone, which is connected to the smoke bone. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
100%.
Yeah, for sure.
Connected to the armed robbery bone.
That's more dope, though. But a little heroin, that'll get you going.
Yeah.
No harm behind. You just want to get well.
Right. Yeah, that's crazy.
Here's the thing: like a tweaker, like you don't know what the hell's going to happen, right?
Right.
A junkie, they're just going to rip you off.
Sure.
Right. That's it. And they'll cry while they're doing it.
Yeah.
Right. But
they'll feel bad about it. But
they'll feel bad. They'll cry while they're doing it. But hey, I'm sick. I got to get well. You know what I mean?
Yeah. What point? because we all work in the same industry. This is kind of this is like the most interesting shit to me, because when I got into this world, the world of heavy equipment, you guys are both crane operators, right? You ran tower cranes, is that correct?
Mobiles, towers,
All the shit, right? I got into this shit and was shocked to find out how many people are like us. We're either musicians, ex fucking punkers, ex metalheads. You know what I mean? I met people in my industry, because I never thought I saw a lot of fucking broken dreams, in this shit. You meet a lot of guys that are just wanted to do something else, and at 18 years old did this, and they've never done a single fucking thing otherwise, But then you meet the guys that are really focused, that have a passion, and are able to do this now and follow it. And then also have, like, you work, you do what you do, and you also still play music, which is so rare. You know what I mean? Like, most of the guys give it up, you know what I mean? But how did you get involved in like the crane, this world? And I wanted to know how you got involved in it as well.
All right. Well, I got sober. I was 20 years old. Had to start working, had to start, paying some bills, whatever. I'm growing up, late bloomer growing up. And I just had a series of like shitty jobs, and I was painting houses, and painting houses was all right. You know what I mean? But I'm living in San Diego. I'm not making a lot of money, and I'm sitting in dead stop traffic on the 15 after work. And I look up and I see a dozer cutting a slope on the side of the freeway. And I remember thinking, like, that looks like such a cool job.
Yeah.
And then the next time I was downtown, I saw some tower cranes, and I knew a guy who was the business manager for the Boilermakers. And I just didn't know. I thought everything was one union,
right,
you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I asked him, like, how do I get into the union,
Right.
And he goes,
the union,
yeah,
like the overall.
No,
that
was my concept of it. The union. And then you just go like, I want to get in the union, and then I want to be a crane operator in the union. You know what I mean? So he told me to contact the operating engineers when he figured out I wanted, to run heavy equipment. And I kind of had it in my life plan to move back to Vegas at that time anyways. And it was when work was exploding up here. So I just came back at the right time, tested in. It only took a few months. Like some people take some 3 years, 5 years to get in. I was in a few months because we were slammed and just never looked back, dude. Like literally threw away piles of paint clothes and like, tools and shit. I was like, I'm never doing that again. I am this now. And for me, man, like, like if you really got to know like what my life was like pre being an operator, for a lot of people, I always say for a lot of people doing something like this is just a job. Like you see kids come through the apprenticeship and like to them, it's just a job. Like it's decent money with benefits or whatever. For me, it was like a way out. You know what I mean? It provided me with a life that I never could have had otherwise, because of where I came from.
Yeah. And you've been doing it for how long now?
16 years.
16 years now. Yeah. And then how did you get involved in it? So being a fucking crazy ex-drug addict punk rocker.
Well, so I mean, granted, I've been clean for a lot of years, and they say like music wasn't panning out, and I had a kid by that time, and and just the same thing is here, and here's and this will probably relate to the apprenticeship, like working a lot of shit jobs where it's kind of like, hey, this is what you're gonna get. This is what we're giving you. You have to pay for your benefits. You know what I mean? We're not paying you overtime, this. And hey, you don't like it, there's a door. We'll get somebody else in. And I wanted to get I wanted to join a union or get a good union job. Right. And, because once again, I knew good benefits, retirement, yada, yada.
Yeah, you
and
have a kid that you have to provide, you want to provide for.
Exactly. Want to provide for your family. And, I tried on certain levels. And I remember somebody telling me like, and it was Liza, someone goes, well, the operating engineers are taking people and their apprenticeships open. What do they do? Like bulldozer and stuff. Cool. I can do that. Right. And that was it. That was my, you know what I mean? And I went and back then you had to pick up, they only gave out the applications at the hall. On Wednesdays, right?
Oh, really?
Oh, yeah. Okay. And I went.
What year did you get in?
2002.
Okay. All right.
So went, put the application in. I got a very good score. I got like a 98 with no previous experience.
Nice.
And in my head, I'm thinking, oh, I'm a shoo-in.
Yeah.
I didn't hear shit for a year and a half.
Really?
It was so long. It was off my radar. and I finally got the call, right? And just when I saw this is how dedicated I was, is that like, I mean, oh my God, I'm in. I'm not going to miss any, as an applicant, I wasn't going to miss anything. Like, I actually paid a friend of mine, Manic Hispanic play open for NoFX up in San Francisco on a Sunday. And I paid my friend Kathy, who, like, Kathy, she now runs the Punk in the Park.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Well, I paid her back then to drive me home so I could make it
to class or
make
whatever.
it to the training site.
Yeah.
Right. And how I really wanted it.
Yeah.
And then I got my first dispatch, and I remember looking at it, and back then it was $18 an hour. Right. And I took it home, and my wife and I were laughing like we won the lotto.
Dude, 100%.
Right. And I'm like, oh my God, like, you're going to give me health benefits, and you're paying me this.
Yeah.
And you know what? And my
it's unreal money. You know what I mean? Like,
and my whole attitude through the apprenticeship was, well, okay, this is what you do. What do you want me to do?
Yeah.
What do you want me to do?
Right.
And it's like, hey, go to class, be involved with. That's it.
Fucking easy.
And it was easy, right? And I mean, as I say, I just did that. And when I was finished, I ended up getting like the District 7 Apprentice of the Year.
Okay.
You know what I mean? Or for that graduating class. Got the watch.
You're talking to another Apprentice of the Year, by the way.
Oh, okay.
I was the unofficial Apprentice of the Year. I journeyed out when we were like collapsing.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
You were Apprentice of the Decade.
That's right.
Yeah, no. Ask around, man.
What elevates you?
Yeah,
right?
I got my wooden plaque on the wall and my
did you
pocket
guys
knife.
get a graduation?
I got a piece of paper.
There you go. I got a wooden plaque.
Did you guys get a graduation party?
No, I didn't. Yeah.
Back then they did it. It was like a little thing. They would do it like every couple of years. Whittier Narrows Park, and they had like a little picnic and stuff like that. But that
they used to do banquet halls up here. And then the year I journeyed out in 2010, when it was like the entire country was just like crumbling.
They're on.
And so, and no lie, it was like 6 or 7 years later, I got a little package in the mail with a buck knife, like a little 2-inch buck knife that says operating engineers. And it was like, oh, that was because you didn't get a graduation party.
Wait a minute. I didn't get a buck knife.
Yeah, what the fuck?
I should have brought it, man.
You know, and here's now, and this is kind of dipping into our career, right? And this is the thing that really kills me, is that what you're saying about these kids, that they get in, and honestly, I mean, and now we're dipping into my opinion. I don't, if you notice the apprentices that come in, with the exception of you, like I said, now you had a hard life before. Right. So you had something to pull yourself out of. Right. But, you get these kids out of high school and they get in, and you're handing all this money. Right. And I think they think they're entitled to it.
Oh God, dude. Don't get me started.
And like for me, when my students are like, if they miss classes, one of the spiels I give, I go like, you know what? Do you remember how happy you were when you got that phone call that you were in? Right. And do you remember how happy when you got that first dispatch reunion, and how eagerly you signed all of that paperwork? Yeah.
And how fucking stoked you were when you got that first check.
You know what I mean? And it's like, where did that go?
Right.
Because like I went through my whole apprenticeship. I did not miss a class. Right. You know what I mean? Like
So you hit the nail on the head for me. Like you said, you looked at your first dispatch and you saw the money and you considered the benefits and you felt like you hit the lotto.
100%.
That $18 is now like $33+.
Right.
Same benefits, if not better. Right.
Yeah.
And they're going, I guess it's all right.
Yeah.
These kids now are like you said, entitled, not willing to work for it. And they've been fed a line of shit like, well, you could be a crypto billionaire, or you could be a fucking
YouTuber.
influencer. Yeah, no, exactly.
Well, it's funny for me to say this, because here's the problem. Everybody wants to be on the stage and no one wants to be in the audience.
Right. Yeah. Right.
You know what I mean?
Yeah. But here's like the through line from, I'm sorry.
And I apologize for interrupting.
Yeah,
but the guys who do seem to thrive, right, and they come in, are those guys that had to go work those shit. Guys that are in their late 20s, early 30s that had to go and work those shit jobs for a little bit, and they're like, they get in it and they see what they're getting, and they're like, fuck yeah,
because they know what it's like to work. And that's exactly my point, right? So like a little bit of me touring all the time for all through my 20s, right? At a certain point, I got 2 fucking kids. I'm working in a head shop and I'm selling a shitload of weed on the side, right? And I'm gone for 4 months at a time. You know what I mean? I'm doing a couple tours a year. I'm coming home with fucking $0. right? And I got 2 kids here, and I'm making it work, but I'm barely making it work, right? And my band was at the point where we had to either shit or get off the pot. We were going to be on tour, like a high on fire, like kind of thing. Like we were going to be on tour 9 months out of the fucking year and maybe make some money. Probably not, you know what I mean? Or I need to fucking do what I got to do to provide for my family, right? Pure desperation. I grew up poor, we're always working jobs. But what happened for me is my old man does this, and he's been doing it for years. And I grew up around it. I grew up running equipment. My dad owned a gold mine when I was a kid. I was like pretty familiar with shit. Did not want to do it. Didn't want to do it. All I know is miserable motherfuckers in this industry. You know what I mean? And there's
no shortage.
There's no shortage of them, right? And so I called my old man out of the fucking blue. I said, dude, I need a fucking job. I need to get into this. So he helps me get in, and I get sponsored, which I'm ultimately thankful for. What I was shocked about was, first of all, the money. I think I was making $22 an hour when I got in, which was double what I was making at fucking DW Drums, which I loved working at, you know what I mean? But it was never going to pay that. I get in, and I was shocked at how much I love the work. And I'm a dirt guy, you know, dozers, blades, fucking grading, all that shit. But what I had found out, what I realized is that punk rock mentality takes you so goddamn far in this industry. It's shocking. Like, because anyone that has, and I've said this many times, anyone that has the balls to gamble on themselves and take a chance and book a tour across the fucking US and eat shit while you do it and don't blame anyone else for it besides you, has that mentality, goes so far in the work that we do, because you work around people that can't take blame, can't take criticism, won't own when they fuck up. And those guys get left behind. You know what I mean? Whereas like the people, like when I meet you guys, I understand it because we've all struggled. We've all suffered. You know what I mean?
And you see that in the apprenticeship.
Oh, you do. You
like,
see
like,
it,
and
yeah.
you see, and you know, and right away, and you know who they are? The excuse people.
Oh, it's the worst.
You know what I mean? They've got a fucking excuse for, you know what I mean? Hey, what the, oh, you know, my car got a flat.
The I know guy too, you know, the I know.
Oh God.
The excuse guy, the I know guy. And that's what I've consistently seen. The people that really go far have this fucking, I will die on this mountain mentality. And I think it's something that's very unique to like being a punk rocker or a metalhead. And it obviously there's other people that have it too, but I've met so many foremans and superintendents that were like, oh dude, when I was a kid, Black Flag, fucking Minor Threat, punk rock, fist fights, drug problems. Now I'm a superintendent. You know what I mean? Yeah. I'm like, hey, me too. You know what I mean? And it always surprises me how far that DIY mentality and ethos goes,
you know, it's
into
even cooler
our world.
You know, it's even cooler than being a superintendent, being a fucking instructor, like teaching and raising the next generation of these fuckheads.
Yeah. It's good, man. But I always find like a weird through line with that mentality. You know what I mean? I will not quit. We're not quitting here. You know,
I'll tell you something, and I'll share something. That one thing that was rough going through my apprenticeship, right? It's kind of like, you know, that old thing, like, you know what, like, you break up with a girl and you're pining over her, right? And all of a sudden you hook up with another girl, and then that girl comes back.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
So right smack dab in the middle of my apprenticeship, 2 opportunities came, like where I was actually offered permanent spots in bands that I really would like to have played with.
Yeah.
I mean,
hurt your soul to say.
And I mean, and one of them, I have one of them tattooed on me.
Really?
Right.
Yeah.
And I'm sitting there, and it's like, I was at Punk Rock Bowling, and I was offered, offered the job, and I'm like, you know what? I'm right in the middle of my apprenticeship. I'm getting my paid college education. I can't.
Yeah.
Right. And I was bitter. I will own it. I was
totally
bitter. I was bitter for a little while about it. One of the other bands was the Adolescents. I was, touring with them, and it's like, I can't sustainably do this.
Right.
You know, I can play local, but but now years later, and just a discussion I had with one of those members is like, you know what, they're going to South America, and I'm like, oh God, I wish I can go with you. You know, I'm like, yeah, I wish I could too, bro, and all this, and it's like, you know what, he goes like, I ain't got nothing. Like, I can't stop.
Right. Yeah. And it's a cycle. You're going to be able to stop in the foreseeable future. Right.
You know what I mean? So,
right.
You know, Indiana Jones and the, I chose wisely.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So,
Yeah. Well, because it is. I mean, and now as a father, I got 3 kids, and you got a kid, and you got, I would assume, 1.
yeah, mine are grown now.
Okay, yeah,
so.
but yours are grown. But that need, I mean, unless you decide to be a piece of shit, you know what I mean, father, that need to provide and create generational wealth for your kids becomes so much more important than your shit. You know what I mean? Like, and that's where I am now. Like, I'd love to do all these things, and I could, if I really wanted to go all in on music and play music, I could do it and I could pull it off. But my family would suffer over it, dude. And it's just something I'm not at this, like, I'm not willing to do. But I've met a lot of guys that did this shit for a long time. Like, I had a mechanic that I worked with for years. His name was Rocco. And he's like, dude, I put off playing music for 5 years. He was a musician, killer fucking bass player. And now as he's like getting older and retired, he's playing with the Electric Prunes. The motherfucker tours all over Japan, fucking everywhere.
No way.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, and it's like, he's loving his life. You know what I mean? So it's like, you don't have to walk away forever. And if you can get to do it in any avenue, then that's amazing.
That's where I've been. That's where I've been lucky, is that I've actually always been able to, play music. Play music's my golf game.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Right.
So
yeah,
I've always been able to do it. So all through it, I just not, I can't go on the road anymore.
Yeah.
But.
Yeah. Me and my buddy John call it the punk rock softball league. Like, we're like, you know what I mean? That's like what we do for music now. It's like, we know we're not going to tour anymore. We're not going to fucking, the dream of, there was never a dream of making it, but because we play punk rock metal, you're not going to make it. You know what I mean?
I still play music and I still write songs. I just don't do any of that with any intent of even playing shows. Like,
right. Yeah.
I would record.
As a creative outlet.
Yeah, I would love to record it with some other people that I jive with, but like the idea of like new band at my age and like trying to appeal to a certain audience at my age, it just
and you got more important shit to do, man. Like, when you're sitting there and you're looking at your paycheck, you're like, all right, dude, I can. And I remember thinking, when I got my first couple of paychecks, I could eat shit for this for a while. You know what I mean? I could totally put off all the little fucking neurotic, like, narcissistic dreams that I had, you know what I mean? And eat some shit to actually create like generational wealth for my children, where they're not going to know what like not having lights on is like, or having to know what spending food stamps is like, you know what I mean? That kind of shit, So it is nice, but I'm always surprised at how many guys I meet that have that same, your guys' mentality, like, because these guys make it, there's the only guys that make it, the guys that want it, and need it. You know what I mean?
100%.
Now, loving the work, that's a whole nother fucking animal. You know what I mean? That's something that you either do or you don't love, which for running tower cranes, those things look so goddamn intimidating. Also what you do too.
The thing is, what the funny thing is that, okay, so I told you when I got in, or when I applied, it was like, what do they do? Bulldozers and stuff. I can do that.
Right.
Before I got in, when I got in is when I realized they did cranes also. I didn't even know, didn't know the engineers did cranes.
Right.
Right. And it wasn't on my radar. I remember, my first days sitting on a forklift and looking at the guys on loaders, like almost kind of jealous. Like, God, I wish I could do that instead of being on the stupid forklift for the 5th day. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And
5th day.
Right.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
And
it was just a weird fluke. Like, first job I had was running a horizontal boring machine.
That's weird.
Oh yeah, weird stuff. And then my second job, and the guy I worked with on that, we got in together, and he kept going, oh, I want to be a crane operator. I want to be a crane operator. My cousin's a big time crane operator. Yada yada. I'm like, cool, bro. I hope it happens for you.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And so we finished. We go to the hall to say, tell our coordinator that we were out of work, and he wanted to take some time off. He wanted to go fishing. He goes, yeah, I want to work on my car. And he goes, all right, you're going to work tomorrow. You're going to oil on a crane.
Yeah.
And that was it.
Yeah.
And that was literally it. It was kind of like literally not on my radar. Like, I mean, going up to it, it was, it was a big old 4,000. And we were looking up.
Oh, that's a crane.
Yeah. It's a big
you know what I mean? I'm like, oh, okay, that's kind of cool. What do I do? You know what I mean? And it just kind of.
And you do love the work. Like, you like the crane work.
Yeah.
I mean, and you do too. Because I don't like them. I think I respect the shit out of them, but they fucking. I would rather hang my ass off the side of a 400-foot cliff.
You're thinking of tower cranes,
you know what
specifically.
I mean? I'm thinking of all the cranes. You know what I mean? Keep me on the side of a mountain with boulders falling off, and I feel comfortable. But when I'm around cranes, I'm like, this motherfucker.
Nah, man, I'm telling you,
it's so, and the work is cool. You know what I mean? I know so little about it. And then you see him jumping tower cranes and shit. And you're like, this is defying.
There's so many
physics.
weird, there's so many weird situations you wind up in the crane world.
Right.
Like you could be hanging iron, you could be literally picking and setting Ferraris and Maseratis at EDC.
Right. Yeah.
You know what I mean? Which I've done. And then like I got a guy who's like a mentor of mine. I've known him for quite a while. He says, you know, you never know what you're going to be doing in this industry. One day you're hanging concrete forms, and the next day you're picking a live elephant at Michael Jackson's Neverland Ranch. And it was a true story. He was like, I had to go up there and upright a fucking elephant. You know?
Yeah.
So
yeah, that's some wild stuff, man.
You know what the thing is though, is that and so within our trade, there's always fucking dirt guys, fucking guys, dirt guys are fucking stupid.
I'm a grading guy. I fucking hate underground guys.
Right.
You know what I mean? I don't hate them, but we always
but
fight.
So there's that thing, and you know what, like and so you're part of that tribe, and you kind of, and here's the thing, so like I've done that solidly, so I'm part of that tribe, and and it kind of gets into you, and you think, oh, dumb dirt guys, right? So
for sure.
then I got hired at the training site, right? And it's like, well, let's try to expand my horizons, and throw a couple more facets on there, right? And I go, okay, so they put me on a dozer, right? And I go, okay, so just make a pass, dude. Make a pass, make a nice clean pass. I'm like, okay, cool, right? And so I did. I'm hold on.
Yeah.
I made an eye. Yeah.
Oh, you did?
Okay, not.
Okay.
Oh no, it wasn't perfect. But not bad. Okay, and I'll also do another one, and it just started getting worse and fucking worse, and you know what I mean?
Yeah.
You know what? And as I say, no matter what it is, if it's cranes or dozers or whatever, there's an art.
There's a skill.
There's an art, and
there's a skill, and there's an art.
There's a feel to it all. You know the guys I got the biggest respect for are like grade checkers.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Those guys are like goats. Running up and down hills, taking shots.
That's what I did for years. I was a grade checker and a blade hand. You know what I mean?
And I don't know which one I respect more, the old school like cougar ranking pounding stakes grade checkers, or even the new GPS guys that are like super tech involved and like understand all these layers of data and all these technological things that I can't even conceptualize. Like I have an equal respect for both of them.
Yeah.
No, absolutely.
I was the hub pounding fucking running goat guy for years. I know very little.
Much respect for that. Yeah. Because let me tell you this, and the irony was that my favorite instructor was the grade checker teacher, but shit, I never got it.
Yeah. That's what I tell my students, because I teach grade checking, and I go, 5% of you are going to be grade checkers. The other 95%, just fucking hold on and try to get as much as you can, because I'm like, good luck, because the way I run my class when I do grade checking, I say, you guys all start with the 800 credit score. It's on you to earn your F, and it's not going to be based on whether you understand the material or not, because I don't expect all of you to understand it, because you start to see everyone's eyes just like glossing over. They're dying, and some guys are never going to get it. But if I can get you onto a job and you can look at something and go, I kind of understand what's going on here.
Hold cool. Okay. So, no, it's just like in my experience going through the apprenticeship was going through. So I took grade checking and I just didn't get it, right. Yeah. And then I did plan reading. Yeah, I got plan reading. Yeah, very right. Yeah. And I thought, you know what, like if they would have, for me, sure, if I would have done plan reading first and then grade checking, I think I would have done because much better with it.
I'm a more visual learner as well. Like plan reading really made sense to me. Yeah. You know what I mean? But yeah, it's a fuck. I don't know. I'm so stoked to be doing this job, dude. I couldn't believe how lucky I got landing into what I'm landing into. And then meeting you guys has been such a fucking pleasure. You know what I mean?
Yeah, mine came out of clear blue sky, man.
Mine too, yeah.
Like I was at the mall with the girl I was dating at the time and my daughter, and my phone rang and I was like, hey, what's up? And it was almost immediately like, have you ever thought about being a full-time instructor? And it's like, what a weird question to get asked. It's like, well, sure, of course I have, but how do you even get that fucking job?
Right. He's all,
come on in on Wednesday. We'll talk about it.
Yeah, no, that's exactly what it was like, man. And the thing that I'm really proud of, like I don't like to toot my own horn much, but it's like the one thing that I will like absolutely raise my hand and say about myself is that I care a lot. And my attitude towards because of, like I said before, I came from a hard life. This was a way out. My attitude through the whole apprenticeship program was like, I'm here. You cannot physically remove me from this. Like, I am here to stay. I'm doing this for the rest of my life. This is a blessing. It's a gift. and that was remembered.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Right.
Me as an apprentice was remembered, and then 12 years later or whatever, I get the phone call, which was really awesome. You know
what, like for me, and here's the thing, and tying into, for like me being a musician, right? And that ego, well, see, it also feeds something else. I have a very low self-esteem, right? So, being a musician kind of feeds into that. So like, and a friend of mine was talking about it. It's like an actual syndrome. Like, I do play with bands. I don't think I'm very good.
Oh yeah,
right?
yeah.
And the same, and you know what? And I don't know if there's a count against me.
You're wrong,
Larry
by the way,
sees
but
this.
yeah, I
If
see what
Larry
you mean.
if Larry sees this, but like I feel like I'm fucking faking it.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I feel like I'm faking it.
Imposter
syndrome.
motherfucker.
I feel like I'm faking it, and they're gonna find me out.
Right.
I'm dead serious. Like, I'm going through this. It's
Dude,
like
I totally get you, man.
me.
That's how I felt when I got this job,
me teaching a class.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? But like,
yeah, you know your shit, dude. That's the
I
thing.
don't.
Yeah. That's how with music for me, I always was the least talented person in the band. And I wanted to be that.
Or so you thought.
But I also am the guy writing 90% of the music.
Right.
I'm also the guy writing all the fucking lyrics. I'm the guy that books all the fucking shows. But in my mind, I am the worst one in this band. You know what I mean? Like, staying humble is like weird, and it is imposter syndrome. When I got in, I went from apprenticeship, a foreman after 6 months of the apprenticeship, became a superintendent of fucking jobs 4 years later, and felt like these guys are gonna find out I don't know what the fuck I'm doing, and I'm running $60 million jobs. You know what I mean? But I just kept doing it. You know what I mean? Like,
no, exactly. So when I was working, I got to back. I was a foreman at the nuke plant.
Right.
I was a foreman out on at Ivanpah at the solar plant out there, and it's like, these guys are gonna find me out.
I know.
You know what I mean?
So when
I'm much more stupider than these guys think I am. You know what I mean? So it's like,
when it came to being an instructor, what I learned was like, my concept of being an instructor is like, you're a guy who knows most of it. You know what I mean? Almost
you have
all,
a well-rounded idea
exactly
of what the fuck's
and that's
going
not
on.
necessarily always the case. A lot of the times it's just you're a guy who knows how to facilitate a classroom environment, and you have the information behind you on a board or on a slideshow or in a book, and you're just trying to find a way to make sure that everybody understands it and moves along at a pace. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
and that was animal, man. Oh man, but to touch on imposter syndrome, not like right after I got this job, and I discussed like, oh my God, I feel like I've been given this position that I don't fucking deserve. I don't know why it's landed in my lap, and I don't feel like I can do a good job because I put the guys who taught me, I put them on such a pedestal.
Right.
You know what I mean? I was like, I had these massive shoes to fill. And so I'm discussing imposter syndrome with a friend of mine, and he goes, I read somewhere that true imposters are incapable of feeling imposter syndrome.
Oh, yeah.
Because
like a real narcissist doesn't know that he's a narcissist. You know what I mean? Yeah. We all understand that we kind of are. So I think we're right under the thing.
It's a touchy thing because if you're doing this and you like being on stage, there's a little bit there.
So if you are a real imposter, you would never in a million, you would think you were born to do this, and that there's no way that you could experience imposter syndrome. And I thought it was like a really wild concept.
Yeah. And then, I mean, touching on this, and we'll kind of wrap up here, but I tell a lot of the kids that come into this shit, I'm like, look, I've worked every job you could possibly work, from fucking.
How old were you when you got in?
I just got in. I got in I was 27, 25.
Okay.
Like I said, but I was like, this is the only fucking job I've ever had where your hard work gets noticed and rewarded. You know what I mean? If that's what you want, you know what I mean? Like, and most of the time you're attaboys, you get to go to fucking work the next day. That's fine. But if you really put in that extra work, you can be a foreman. Any motherfucker can be a foreman. Any motherfucker can be a fucking lead man. All that shit, if you really, really try. And it's the only industry I've ever experienced that in.
And being a foreman is what I learned.
It's the worst.
It's like herding cats.
Yeah.
Okay. And two, you know what? Honestly, if everybody just shut the fuck up and did their job, you wouldn't need foremen.
I know, yeah.
That's it. You were there to there to tell them to shut
Yeah.
the fuck up.
You're a high paid fucking babysitter.
Oh,
dude.
yeah.
That's what it is.
No, you're not
That's
even
it.
that high
Yeah,
paid.
yeah, yeah.
You're not even
a
that high
dollar
paid.
above scale.
Yeah,
dude.
You know what?
$2.
You know, like as far as doing foreman work, like my personal view of it is
Yeah.
that you need two things to be a good foreman, right? You need the head and you need the stomach,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
And most guys, or you guys that would be your shitty bosses, are the guys that have the stomach for it,
Right.
and not the head.
Right.
I had the head for it,
Yeah.
but not the stomach.
Okay.
I'm the guy. I would wake up at 2 a.m. Did I do this? Or
Oh, yeah.
or you know, or something would happen at work and I have to sleep over it, and
Oh, yeah.
you know, and that's why I stopped for. I like leaving. You know, I like walking out of the gate and,
And not
staying
thinking
there.
about shit.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, and
Staying
that's where I was when I first became. I got in. Same 6 months. I'm fucking dreaming about work. I'm dying. I'm waking up at 2 a.m. thinking about a hub that I set that's going to be off fucking 2 inches, and then once you get past, if you push past that, eventually you wake up and you go, I don't care if the fucking job's on fire. Everything can be fixed. It's gonna be fine. You know what I mean? And then that's where I got still doing the work, still showing up, but you know what I mean?
And here's the thing, is like, as far as like people's egos and probably most something that I thought now Ryan knows Ronnie Earhart. Right?
Yeah, oh yeah.
And I worked with Ronnie Earhart for a lot of years. Very good friend, you know, still stay in contact. We were out at Ivanpah, and this is when everything had gone up, right? And it was really awesome. I was at badge number like 46 out there, right?
Yeah.
Pure desert, right? And this is when Unit 1 had really started getting up, you know what I mean? And I'm sitting there, and he was like, you know, he was a superintendent, you know, equipment superintendent. And I'm like, look at him, I'm like, and he goes, and I go, wow, dude. And I go, this is all you. Look at this. It's kind of bitching, right?
Yeah.
And he goes, and he looked at me and goes, you know what, dude? If it wasn't me, it'd be someone else.
Yeah, it's true. Yeah,
you know,
that is true. Don't ever think the job's going to stop because you're not fucking there, dude.
Still,
everybody is replaceable.
Yeah,
100%.
Still to this day, that dude's like mindset and like the energy that he tries to build a team with and everything is still like, he's probably like one of my favorite people I've worked for. And not because he like made it all easy and it was just making money and took care of his boys. It was like, no, we're being paid well. We're going to act like professionals. I expect this. I expect this. I expect this. And it was like, it kind of built this like team unit kind of.
A good foreman brings people with.
No, you know what? There's those foremen, there's those bosses that you have that and it's something about them and how they do.
Right.
They make you want to do a good
better.
job.
Yeah. No, he made me want to be a better operator, a better hand in general, like charismatic, man, just knew how to, and he's just a biker. He's just like a biker dude. You know what I mean? He's not some college trained, you know, professional.
He's all punker.
No, I know, that's what I'm saying. He's just an average
punker.
Joe who just said, he just, you know, wakes up and goes, it's my job to make things run smoothly and work well.
Right.
You know what I mean? And he knew how to rally people. It was cool, man.
Well, that is the unique thing about a good foreman knows how to motivate, right? Like I was probably a dog shit foreman for a while because I was raised with you scream and they run, right? But then I realized, I started thinking about it, like if I'm at a fucking show, I'm not going to like terrorize the fucking crowd. I'm going to motivate people. Some guys need a challenge. Like, hey, there's no way you're getting 200 fucking loads today. Fuck you. Yeah, I will. You know, some guys need to be literally pissed to work well. Some guys need a little pat on their ass. And, oh, you're doing a great job, buddy. You know what I mean? And a true good foreman, a good leader that's about
100% of crane operators.
I wasn't going to say it, but yeah, some guys need
Excuse
that shit.
me, sir.
Yeah. But that's a good leader of men. You know what I mean? And I think that's often what I think is like, we've been surrounded by fucking freaks our whole career. You're at a fucking show, dude. There's every amount of walk of life, and you learn to deal with them. You learn to talk to them, and you get along with most of them. You know what I mean? But that's what makes good leaders. You know what I mean? When you think about that shit, you know? And so that's where I try to be. I try to put myself back into like, how did I fucking motivate people to follow me into my shit? Like even on stage or, you know, in my community, you know, like, and it's by being consistently there, showing up, doing the work, and then knowing how to fucking talk to this guy does not work well if you fucking scream at him, but this guy does. You know what I mean? He needs to be pit, you know, all that shit, you know, which when you grow up around a lot of fucking freaks, it kind of prepares you for the world, the construction world, especially, but dude, it's been a pleasure having you guys on. We've done a solid hour already. But
this is kind of, I've never really, I don't think I've ever, no, I did. Anyway, it's kind of cool. It's like kind of bullshit.
Yeah, bullshit, right?
Yeah, it's kind of bullshit.
I would like to say, if you want to throw out, I know you got some shows coming up, punk rock bowling and stuff. Do you got any dates or anything you've got going on in your career right now?
Okay,
I had it pulled up.
hardcore band, Non Severo from Spain. So shows I have coming up. If anybody's interested, we've got. I play with Manic Hispanic still. We've got Manic Hispanic still. We're doing a run. So May the 4th, we're playing at the House of Blues Anaheim. We're having the Aquabats.
Oh, cool.
But the Aquabats are doing their Aquabat, and it is the Aquabats. They're the Aquabats tribute to the poor, to the Cure.
Oh, dude, they're so good at that. Have you seen that?
Well,
shit?
the Aquabats.
It's incredible.
Those guys are just incredible.
It's shocking how good they are at pure songs.
Yeah, and then and so them and Plague Vendor. Then May the 5th. Cinco de Mayo, we're doing, and did you look at that band, Non Severo? They're hardcore.
Hardcore band from Spain. Yeah.
Hardcore band from Spain, and then we're doing I don't know where, but San Diego and Phoenix.
Okay.
And then doing punk rock bowling. I play with a band called Greg Antista and the Lonely Streets, and that's like those guys. That's Frank Agnew on guitar, who's on the original Blue album, Adolescence Blue album, and Greg Antista. And so these are old Fullerton black hole punks,
nice,
right? And just playing some rock and roll, opening for Reverend Horton Heat. Actually, Mike Nessa's son, Julian James, is on that show.
Okay.
It's a pool party on the Friday night, and then Sunday night will be Manic Hispanic with Left Alone and the Old Churros.
Awesome, man.
So
if you're in Vegas, punk rock bowling is going to be going off, dude. That's awesome. Well, yeah, and I mean, obviously, you can find him at the training site, just motivating people on CDL drives, hardcore shows,
standing in the back,
smashing, dude.
Okay, real quick story of just being pathetic and old, right?
Yeah.
So we did the house whopper training out at our training site in Houston, right?
Yeah.
And he's like, and I'll rent a car. I hate being trapped.
Totally.
So, and he's like, hey, you got a car? And he goes, DRI is playing in Houston. I'm like, and my first thing is not like, fuck, man, it's gonna be late, dude. It's like that's after 9 o'clock.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Anyway, so but like, you know what? I was like, let's go. So it's like we took and the guy from another guy from Wisconsin wanted to go,
who's like the super nice, nicest guy on the fucking planet.
Sweet dude, but we're talking potato salad with raisins.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Great. And you're gonna take him to a DRI show in
right.
Houston,
And anyway, so
right?
we get to the show and we're going, and it's like, hey, it's a Mr. Pit Boy over here. Anyway, he goes, I'm sitting there like, hey guys, I'm gonna go chill in the car. So I'm like the dad, I'm waiting out in the car.
I felt fucking bad. I'm like I'm giving him updates like, hey, don't worry, man. I think they only got a few songs.
I was so fine with it. Like, dude, stay, enjoy yourself, son.
Yeah. I'll be in the car, kid.
But it's funny because homie,
I was getting bummed getting the text. Dude, I'm kind of dozing, bro.
Homie from Wisconsin had never seen or heard anything like that.
Oh, he probably blew his fucking.
He's like a country bumpkin from the middle of nowhere, Wisconsin, and we tried to tell him like, this is not like, it gets so much worse than this.
This is a mellow show.
Yeah, but this is still gonna be like rowdy. Like you're gonna have a beer soaked tennis shoe on your face at some point. You know what I mean? Like
you don't get beer on you, you're doing pretty good.
No. Yeah. I know. And he had the best fucking time, awesome, dude. Yeah. He had the absolute best time.
He's like, I went to this punk rock show with these guys from California.
Dirty Rotten Imbeciles. I don't know. Yeah, I don't know.
Oh, dude. Well, dude, it's been a pleasure having you guys on.
That was fun.
All right, let's get the fuck out of here. I think we got to go eat some food now.
Let's do it.
Yeah. All right. Later.